Well, hello there, and welcome to Metal Mercers Road podcast for April 9th, 2017. Um, as you can see, I have all my teeth in, but I speak like a hillbilly because old fucking Pauly Potato Head has got to fucking wear a tooth retainer. God, that's annoying. I can't really talk with that thing in, so you're just gonna have to deal with me fucking missing a fucking chiclet. So, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to Metal Mercers Road. I am your fucking host, Pauly fucking Walnuts Mercer. Welcome to the podcast. If you're a first time podcast listener, I do one of these once a week. This one's a little late, my apologies. Not because I'm being a lazy cunt, but just usually because I'm busy. So it's been a pretty busy last week for me here, so which is really good. Things seem to be kind of turning around a bit here and picking back up, especially in the work scene. So old fucking Paul's got a job interview tomorrow. There's a security company doing the swipe passes in my building, so I might have an opportunity to go work with those guys. So I think it would be pretty cool. I've done a little bit of door security before, and it's certainly close to home. They're pretty much working in my building, so it's pretty much wake up and you're at work. So nothing wrong with that, right? And excited to get back to work here. And what a good little bit of data experience, that would help go a fucking long way. How's your week going? Are you getting enjoying some of the sun? I know we've had a little bit of a blue sky out there and some sun shining, and hopefully the sun shining in your home a little bit there too. Get all your vegetables growing and that. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. First thing I'm doing when I hook this job here is getting back into the jiu-jitsu. I fucking really miss that stuff. It's so fun. That and the Muay Thai is so fun too. Even if I could just get in a couple times a week, that would be great. Really good to get that exercise in and, be a savage fucking trained killer, if you know what I'm saying. So, I've really noticed Facebook has kind of become the new 2017 fucking rebel is he's just the version of a 2017 rebel is that you get your Facebook account deleted or flagged, and you're supposed to be some sort of fucking badass. So I think Facebook is taken away from the people so much. It certainly gives a little bit back to people, but you can't be spending fucking days on end on there, or else you're just gonna get trapped in fucking having the exact same day over and over, and who the fuck wants that, right? So you got to get out there and chase your goals, right? And there's gonna be some fucking hard times in the trenches, and times when you're gonna doubt yourself, and look back at all the work you've put in, and just gotta really push through the tough times and bear with it and bear down on your craft or whatever you're trying to do. I know I've really been trying to separate myself, personally, just playing music and that, just playing on my own, and with kind of no backtracks or nothing, and just kind of trying to really tighten up my own game and adding all the little trinkets and things that I've learned over the last 7 or 8 years when I've been playing. So adding all that stuff up and trying to be the best musician that you can. I went down to a meeting at Night Owl on Thursday night. It was for the Canadian Arts and Music Grants that are available to some bands in town. I guess 30% of people get approved. There's all kinds of different grants. You can get federal grants, provincial grants and city grants for whatever your art or music may be. And we all know that it costs a ton of money and a ton of work and a ton of effort to try and get a band off the ground or whatever you're doing. Maybe it's comedy or whatever, or maybe it's just a shitty old fucking podcast like Metal Mercers Road here. But it certainly takes some time and money and efforts and a lot of that kind of jazz to get your stuff going. So there's a lot of initial upfront costs whenever you're getting into a new hobby or a new career or trade in that, and you want to be on the up and up with all that shit, right? So you don't want to be running around Facebook trying to piss Facebook off so you can look fucking like a badass, getting your little wee pictures taken down. Whatever happened to going out and smashing somebody in the face with a shovel? Whatever happened to those good old days, when badasses and fucking rebels were rebels? You don't have to go out and smash somebody in the face with a shovel. That's just a fucking poorly example from my twisted fucking mind, So, hopefully you had a good week. Once again, yeah, see, I'm still fucking rambling here. Lots have been going on this week. We built, me and my dad, and me mother was not really working because her hands all messed up, but she was there bossing us around, like any good mother's good for. And so we built the garage. We finished the garage today. We finished sheeting the roof, so it's 100% done. It's 100% built. I just got to do shingles and siding and a little bit more plywood on the fascia of the front of the garage. So it's pretty much done. We gotta wait. I'm getting an electrical permit, and I'll be doing the garage, like a little mini garage panel for the dad's little garage there that he's putting in, and it'll be all good. Went and looked at a heater some guy once hooked up today. I'm supposed to do that on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I'm supposed to help a buddy out with a hot tub. So yeah, I think he's getting it delivered on Wednesday. So got a couple little things going on, little small projects, and life is good. Went and hung out with Courtney yesterday, and the wee gals there. Watched the hockey game. The Flames lost 3-1, but the Flames are in the playoffs, so don't you fucking fret your little knickers there, sweetheart, because we're right back in the mix of things here. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's happened for me this week. My place is a fucking disaster because I haven't been able to clean up as much as I'd like to. Sucks when you don't have a maid around, right? So shit gets a little messy in that, right? So this weekend, though, Saturday, a show that I did not attend, but I'm sure it was really good. The CEMR Calgary Metal Fest 2017 at Night Owl was on Saturday. Terrifier, WMD, Tessitura, Train Bigger Monkeys, Juliet Run, Forsaken Right all played at Night Owl. And another show that happened this weekend, but I didn't even get to it, nor did I get my fucking podcast out on time. So was at the Palomino Smokehouse and Social Club. Woodhawk album CD release with Cron Goblin and Mothercraft. Doors were at 9, and it was an 18 plus show. You don't give a shit how much it was, right? Because you weren't there and I wasn't there, and well, maybe you were there. I don't know. I don't know what you do with your life these days, I don't fucking know you. I don't talk to you. I don't know you. What do you want from me? Yeah, so another show was at the Stampede Corral. I don't think that happened at the Corral, though. Didn't that happen at Marquee? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. The Stampede Corral Insane Clown Posse Canadian Juggalo weekend. Is that like a gigolo with some jugs or something? She's got some implants. Just gigolo with a set of cans on him. Wouldn't that be a fucking glorious surprise as you get some sort of female prostitute, you go down in her pants, and all of a sudden she's got a big dick in your face. That would be quite the experience, and I think I'd want a refund for all that schlong. Not enough jugs and too much schlong. I'm sorry. Jesus. Thursday, April 13th, if you didn't know, but now you're gonna know. Dickens Pub Striker album release with Ravenous, Riot City, and In Vertigo. Tickets in advance are $10 online at Concertworks and Sloth Records. $20 in advance with download of new self-titled album. Direct link, and there's a link there. I'm not going to read you the link because, you know. Friday, April 14th, Dickens 3 Kings album release with Plaguebringer, Proto Sequence, The Reckless, Heroes, Setback, and The Mantles. Tickets are $10 from the band, and there's more at the door. So, Saturday, Verns, April 15th, Shark Infested Daughters with The Bloody Politic, and with Forever Frost, Uppercut, Decapitation, and Days I Die. $10 in advance. Tickets available from local bands. Sunday, April 16th, Distortion Live Music Venue, Ghost Bath, Astronoid, Numeronian, and Iron Tusk. I'm pretty sure that's like a black metal show for all you black metal folk. Thursday, April 20th, 2017, Distortion Live Music Venue. It's the 420 Music and Arts Festival. Black Mastiff, High Kicks, La Chinga, The Electric Revival, Buffalo Budbuster, Hypno Pilot, Set and Stoned, and tickets are Distortion or in Sloth Records. Night Owl. The Electric Revival is pretty good, by the way. They're like kind of rocky and stuff. I don't mind them. I don't know how much the tickets are for the 420 Music Fest. They do not say here. So, Night Owl, we got a show. Aggression, Statue of Demure, Illyrian, Death God. Doors are at 8, bands are at 9. Tickets are $10 and $15 at the door. Friday, April 21st, 2017, which is the fucking year we're in right now, if you know what I'm saying. 420 Music and Arts Festival, Ancients, Dead Quiet, Lava Goat, Orbital Express, Chronobot, Lordosis, Hunted by Ravens. Tickets available at Distortion, Sloth, and online at 420 Music Festival and arts.ca. There's a Winnipeg show on here. Winnipeg, Manitoba Metal Fest 2017, Day 1. A 2-day pass is at ticketfly.com. Paper tickets at Music Trader and Park Theater. Saturday, April 22nd, 420 Music and Arts Festival, Wofat, Kron Goblin, Cowpuncher, Mammoth Groove, NVGR, which apparently stands for Nikki Valentine, and the Gypsy Riders. Black Thunder, Brown Dwarf, and Bazaraba. Tickets available at Distortion, Sloth, and online at 420musicalandartsfest.ca. Winnipeg, Manitoba Fest, Day 2. I don't know, it doesn't give any band names for that, so I won't even... Who gives a shit about that? That's not even in Calgary. These are the Calgary metal scenes and events, not fucking Manitoba. Manitoulja. Monday, April 24th. What are we at here? 19. So that's 18. What's 18 plus 9? 17? So the 27th. So we'll go to the 27th, and then I'll shut my fucking pie hole about shows in Calgary, because you probably can just easily go on and read them yourself, but for some... I don't know why you fucking listen to this shit, but... Monday, April 24th, Marquee Beer Market and Stage, DRE with E.T., BD, Citizen Rage, and Snake Pit. $25 in advance. Tickets available at concertworks.ca and Sloth Records. Direct tickets link. Ticketfly. Doors are at 7. 18 plus, no minors. Okay, we got two more for your ear vaginas. Distortion Live Music Venue, Weed Eater and Primitive Man, Gnosis and Rebuild Repair. Doors are at 7, bands are at 8. Tickets online at myshowpass.com. /Weed Eater. Physical tickets will be available at Distortion and Sloth Records and Next Level from Metalheads United March 17th. Thursday, Lord Nelson, West of Hell, Revenger, Acostal, Thrash Adactyl. Doors are at 7:30, bands are at 8:30. Tickets are $12, $15 at the door, and that's pretty much all the shows we'll get into for today, you know. So I went up to try and get my phone fucking looked at because the screen has been cracked like almost since I bought the damn thing because I fucking found dropped a set of pliers on my phone and that, so it's probably gonna be like $350 to get my shitty old Samsung replaced, but it's kind of shitty, but oh well, it's such is life anyway. Look at fucking Pauly Walnuts being a negative Nelly here, so maybe I should just get back to being a badass on Facebook, posting all my fucking, I don't know, marital pictures or whatever. Or like 15 million pictures of my kid. I don't have kids, but you know how it is. Last night, Daniel Cormier defended his UFC belt against Anthony Johnson, and he was pretty happy about that. I watched some after fight interviews and that kind of stuff, but so he's still the champ, and apparently John Jones had some sort of big after party, so who would have thought it would have been good to throw an after party for an alcoholic. It's kind of like being a cokehead and selling cocaine, or being an alcoholic and selling drinks, isn't it? I don't know. What the fuck do I know? I'm just a fucking measly old electrician and bass player for Concrete Funeral, so like how I slipped that little plug in there. Tonight I'm going to see my buddy Dale Ward. He's playing the Jokes of Thrones down at the Laugh Shop, so gave me a good deal on tickets for that, so 2-for-1 deal. So appreciate that, Dale. I'm sure you won't fucking listen to this or hear anything that I'm talking about, but I'll just tell you tonight when I see you. That way, you wouldn't have to fucking bear with me on the Metal Mercers Road podcast. I don't know why I'm being so hard on myself. I bring plenty of value, I think, to any kind of project or relationship that I get into, and so that's the image I need to project, I guess. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's read something else here. So this is in Richard Bosch's stories, Peril and Temptation. So this is just a random story. I pretty much just pick random stuff, to read and kind of fill the half an hour of fucking atrocity that I provide the interweb. An ideal situation would be that these podcasts steadily get better every week, but we just between you and me, this isn't always the case. So anyway, this is that's my knee, in case you're wondering. This is a random fucking story off the interweb for you, and only for you. Now, an older man is on his fourth wife. She's much younger. In fact, she happens to be his former student, and now he's apparently walked out on her. That's the setup for the story, the harp department in love. But if it still seems to promise to walk down some familiar literary lane, telling, say, a tersely lyrical tale of a wreckage caused by restless, self-defeating men. Is that me? I have no idea. Or depicting a grand tragedy of satisfied masculine desire. Rest assured that because it's a Richard Bosch story, it will attend to the predicaments of the American male with insight and flair, even as the struggles of his female counterpart are treated with an equally interested eye. In the first lot in this fine new collection, Bosch presents us with young people and old people, married, single, and divorced people, straight and gay people, professional and blue-collar people, and people who are simply layabouts. They make bad choices. I know a couple people like that. How about you? And because the universe is full of peril and temptation, but some of them pause to realize that beauty and honor are also within reach. They all circle around a disturbing truth that the power we have to shape our own lives can be as terrifying as it is liberating. For John and Josephine Stanislawski, look at me fucking reading words, the estranged spouses of the Heart Department in love, what begins as an ominous stalemate over Josephine's flirtation with a man close to her age veers into something illuminating and unexpectedly tender. Stanislawski, an accomplished if stealthy, underachieving classical musician, is an eminence grise at a southern college. Walks in on the aftermath of Josephine's fumbled attempt to delay a friend's husband from his own surprise party. Oops. The birthday boy had taken her ploy as to come on. She separated after all. What was he supposed to do when she invited him in? Josephine, a musical prodigy whose fatherless childhood perhaps explains her hunger for male admiration. Oh, Jesus. Experiences a fleeting sense of wonderment at the notation that there might be something she emanates that invites this sort of thing, but she also sees that Stanislawski's need to doubt her feeling is her own fucking problem. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be reading these with some vulgar profanity because, at least that spices up the stories. Lies Bosch's mastery of fucking emotional nuisance. His method is fucking straightforward, a steady, descriptive wringing out of meaning from moments that turn out to be life-altering. Not that it's easy to see what anything means while it's happening. In the haunting title story, a woman named Paula snowed into her house in rural Virginia. Doesn't know whether to be relieved or frightened after her husband is shot by a co-worker and manages to survive. It's Christmas and relatives... I'm sorry, I can't read, so the words have to be extra fucking large for my blind ass eyes. I'd like to totally blame it on that I'm blind, but we both know that's not true. Is his delay, pardon me, let's start over here. Virginia doesn't know whether be too relieved or frightened after husband is shot by a co-worker and manages to survive. It's Christmas and a relative who also worked with her husband is due to arrive. Is his delay caused by the snow, or is his absence and the shooting part of a bigger, darker story? As Paula hunkers down, the night passes in excruciating slow motion. There could never be anything so strange, so brutally exact as experiences. She realizes as she registers the different person, wary and prepared for anything she has suddenly become. These stories might seem old-fashioned in their form and rhythms, but Bosch works very hard to situate them in a slangy chaos of contemporary culture. Though not in its increasingly multicolored and multilingual reality, this is a white world. Although there's a story called Immigration. It's about a tense visit to an INS office by an Irish guy and his American fucking wife. Occasionally Bosch's ear seems slightly off, spandex slacks, but overall he convinces convincingly captures a range of voices. The trouble Bosch's characters navigate are as likely to involve modern ills like drugs as they are old standbys like drinking and adultery. The ravaging lure of the drug trade is palpable in the title story as well as it is disturbing. Son and Hear, in which the shiftless 27-year-old of a hypocritical college president rides out a sweltering summer blackout. It's only when minor drug deal takes a violent turn that he realizes how unprepared he is for life outside his parents' detested nest. Dun, dun, dun. The book's final story, 65 million years, tells of a priest, Father Hennessy, who loves to drink Hennessy. No, I just made that part up. Who's gone numb from drinking all the Hennessy. No, he's just numb. To the voices he hears in confession, the catalog of little cruelties, omissions, vanities, impure thoughts, petty indulgences, hatreds and angers, curses and unchecked passions, and his completely ordinary parishioners. Don't judge me, okay? I don't fucking know how to read. It's not my fault. He begins to break through the desolation of his detachment. Stop yelling at me! Only when he hears the tantalizing, incomplete story of the ordeal of another person, a scarily precocious teenage boy who comes to him in confession, and then he touches his genitals. Was searching impatient questions about God and the dinosaurs and his balls. After the boy turns up again, Father Hennessy puts his hand on the boy's lap, and this story is all of a sudden turning into a pedophile fucking story. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just made that part up. Sorry. After the boy turns up again, Father Hennessy pieces together the elements of his family tragedy from news reports. Now that the priest is filled with a new anguish and he can't reach this brilliant, unfairly afflicted young man, when relief finally comes to Father Hennessy, it emerges in the aftermath of a hard realization that he had gone through everything those past weeks only in terms of himself. With its movement away from ego and vanity, this brave, deceptively modest story tempts you into a bit of the priest of Richard Boss's own vocation as a writer. 19 books into his career, he seems determined to keep witnessing an array of human sorrows with compassion and admirable steadiness. Again and again, he excavates the darkest corners of his characters, lives without giving in to despair. Maria Russo has been a writer and editor of the Los Angeles Times and New York Observer and Salon. So, the U.S. launched some Tomahawk missiles, in case you didn't fucking know, into Syria, and, there's more war, so looks like we won't be getting peace in the world anytime soon. I don't know. Do you think to find peace in the world, do you think maybe you have to find peace in yourself, maybe? I don't know. I have no idea, but, it's just a thought. So I don't know how much time we're at here. We're at fucking old 29 minutes, which is great because I gotta get rolling here to the comedy show, Joke of Thrones. So it's like a competition for amateur comedians that I'm checking out, looking to possibly take some notes and see what it takes for a guy to fucking even get up there. Be kind of a cool experience, don't you think? I'd like to read one more story. It's unspeakably.stupid.com, and there's a bunch of numbers here. I'd really like to just pick a number randomly, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. So, what I'll do is I'll just draw lines on a page, and then I got up to 27 stories, I think, here. So, I'll just go until it feels right, and then I'll stop and count the lines, and then that's the fucking story I read. So, okay, so how many lines I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16, number 16, which is, you gotta be shitting me, there's no 16. No, there is. It's called Black Story. Oh, good, and it's fucking, like, super long. I moved out of my parents' house for the first time when I was 19. I had a roommate, a guy named Carrie, who was also 19. Our house was just an old rundown thing near downtown, but it had not only a basement but an upstairs bedroom that was used for storage and a carport that held both of our cars. I think the rent was a measly $180 a month. Overall, it was quite a find. We had known the guy who rented it before us, and we have found out he was moving out, so we jumped on it. Now, in order to afford this life of luxury, we had jobs. Carrie worked at a paper products plant in the nearby town. I worked in the same town at a shop known as Oregon Handling Equipment in the industrial district. OHE sold all kinds of odd stuff to the local industries, mostly sound trucks and casters, the little wheels that went on every type of cart you could imagine. They sold everything that you might run into in the warehouse, little plastic boxes to hold small parts that fit on rails, our kind of known as a plasti box, the little conveyor belt things that were used to move heavy products down the shipping table. I forgot what the hell those things were called. Even something known as a keg pad, which was simply a thick circular rubber shock absorber for beer distributors in use when loading and unloading beer kegs. Everybody's favorite fucking tool. Oddly, the businesses also housed Lectolift, which I supplied was the world's smallest forklift assembly plant. These two old guys named Dick and Lloyd built these small battery-powered forklifts. You stood on the back of the forklift to operate it. It had a little accelerator pedal, and you operated it with your right foot, and the steering wheel, which operated the two little wheels on the back of it. These two guys actually built these things from raw materials, doing all the welding, assembly, and painting themselves. They actually had 2 forklifts under construction at any time. Lloyd was an extremely grumpy old asshole, but nobody really feared him because his grumpiness was so extreme it was sort of comical. Dick was a genuinely nice guy who had worked off and on for the company for many years. He would quit his job at OHE to sell cars, then his conscience would get the best of him, and then he'd come back to this day. He is the only car salesman who I ever knew to his day. He is the only car salesman I ever knew who actually hated and felt bad about ripping people off. Ain't that the fucking truth? My job at OHE was shipping and receiving. In came casters and hand trucks, out went plastic boxes and so forth. I would box the items up and call the appropriate trucking company for pickup. Now I found the job through an employment agency, but I didn't have to pay the fee. OHE had paid to find someone willing to work there. It didn't take them long to figure out how they had become so desperate to find someone to work my job. Beyond the fact that the job didn't pay much, the building was depleted beyond belief. Junk was piling up everywhere in a haphazard fashion. It was dirty and there was nothing to do much of the time. The building had an upstairs that housed the lunchroom, and most of the rest of the upper level was filled with cardboard boxes and with other mentioned plastic boxes and their steel rails. When I first started working there, I noticed a lot of plastic boxes scattered around the floor upstairs. I dutifully went about picking them up and storing them in a more proper place. I remember feeling proud for myself for cleaning up this unsightly mess. Then it rained. It quickly became very clear why the plastic box had been laying about all over the upstairs floors. The roof leaked in 100 places. Water came cascading through the large holes in the building flat roof. As I raced around replacing the plastic boxes I had picked up days earlier. Water was gushing through the floor and into the lower levels, sometimes flooding down onto fluorescent lighting that was everywhere. I quickly learned to leave the plastic boxes in place. Sometimes I was called upon to empty them, probably in order to prevent the mosquitoes from taking over the place. The condition of the ownership was similar to that of the building. The owner, old man Vandercook, was as wasted as the building. He walked with a giant, horrible limp as if he was missing an entire hip joint, and he constantly made this huge and very gross noise with his sinuses as if he was going to hawk up the world's biggest loogie. I still remember him climbing the stairs each day, struggling with a huge limp and snorking and loudly a dozen times on his way up. Whatever that fucking means. That was worded shitty. Old man Vandercook's wife helped him run this shithole, and the two of his kids, both of them around 30 years old, were salesmen. In all, no more than a dozen people worked there once or so. We would all go out to lunch together at Yankee Pot Roast next door, shutting down the business completely for an hour. This is a long one, hey? Now it would have been easy to feel sorry for the old man if he wasn't such an asshole, but an asshole he was. He was always pissed off about something or another, usually something one of his salesman's sons had done. Once he even growled at me, "Get your hands out of your pockets. It makes you look unintelligent." Unintelligent was the longest word I ever remember him using. It's probably got my vocabulary. Anyway, I worked at the dump for about 5 months. I had been working there about 3 months when Black Tuesday came. Black Tuesday started out like any other day. I had a ship of plastic box order out, which meant wrapping a couple of long, heavy steel rails in cardboard for shipping. So I wrapped the 8-foot rails and leaned them against the nearby garbage can as I was busily preparing something else for shipping at my little table. The rails had slipped off the garbage can and went right through the window of the nearby door that led to the outside of the building. Smash! Shit, I thought. I knew it would be my job to replace the window. So I told my boss, an old guy named Howard, who seemed well beyond retirement age, what had happened. He frowned a little and gave me a check to go buy a new pane of glass for the window. Howard was generally the kind, easygoing grandfather type who never got agitated about much of anything, which may have explained his longevity at the company run by an asshole like old man Vandercook. He handed me the keys of one of their trucks. The truck I climbed into was one of the company's owned 1-ton flatbeds, each with a cab like a Chevy pickup truck. The particular one I climbed into had an arc welder laying on the back. The arc welder was not your typical electric arc welder. It had its own diesel-powered straight 6 engine which fired the generator for the arc welder. It was huge, the size of a farm tractor, and had been loaded lengthwise on the back of the truck. So off to the excuse me. So off to the glass shop I went. On the way there, at a stop sign at an intersection, then took a sharp left. There was a huge noise from the back of the truck. I looked in the rearview mirror. Where did the arc welder go? Once I realized that it had gone tumbling off the back of the truck into an intersections of a busy industrial area at rush hour, there was a moment of indecision. Do I stop and go back, or do I punch it and just keep going, maybe to California? Once over the initial panic, it was time to get over and go back to the survey of the damage. I parked the truck and walked toward the intersection. The welder had fallen off and slid against the back of someone's Plymouth Duster parked in front of the tavern on the corner of the intersection. The car's bumper had been pushed against the body some, not real heavy damage. The arc welder, however, appeared to be totaled. By now, the tavern's patrons had come out screaming out of onto the sidewalk to view the carnage. "You kids will learn," shouted one idiot after already drunk at 4 in the afternoon. There wasn't much I could do on my own, so I got back into the truck and headed back towards the shop. I wondered how I would go about telling Howard what had happened. Once back to the shop, I walked to Howard's desk. I announced sadly, "Howard, I lost it." Howard frowned. "Well, let me get you another, and you can go back and get a new piece of glass." "Not the glass, Howard, the arc welder." Howard frowned and a little harder. "Where?" 26 in Thurman. Howard thought for a moment. "We'll have to send Dick down there with the forklift and pick it up." So Dick hooked on the little trailer to the truck and drove a forklift onto it. He mentioned for me to come along with him to pick up the remains of the arc welder. Since Dick was one of the few people I liked at OHE, I had no problem with that. On the way there, he tried to settle my nerves by pointing out that the arc welder had been lifted onto the truck wrongly in the lengthwise position rather than sideways, which would have kept it from rolling over and falling off. Indeed, I had just pulled away from the stop sign when it happened and had been doing 15 miles per hour, perhaps, when it tumbled. When we got to the scene, it had become quite a mess. Firefighters were on the scene and were spraying the arc welder as it had leaked some diesel onto the pavement. It was now in the middle of rush hour, and the fire trucks had created a considerable traffic jam. With me directing traffic, Dick skillfully picked up the arc welder and the forklift and placed it on the back of the truck. It was obviously totaled. Luckily for me, old Vandercook was out of town at a convention that entire week. They had insurance on the arc welder, so other than having to answer some questions from the insurance company, it was all not a big deal. Now the receptionist at OHE was a girl of maybe about 21, just a couple years older than me. She was married, ugly, kind and fat, and remarkably dumb. My type of girl. Not that she was unpleasant, but she didn't have a lot going for her. Well, what do you know? Whenever anyone mentioned the name Dave, for example, she'd say, "Dave's not here, man," and laugh herself breathless while everyone else looked on in astonishment. I can't remember her name. Anyway, a couple of months or so... Fuck me, this is a long story. Don't worry, we'll get there. 3 minutes per minute, or 3 words per minute, we'll get there. Anyway, a couple of months or so after the arc welder incident, I was getting ready to quit this lousy fucking job. I happened to mention this is an ugly receptionist the one day, and it took her maybe an hour to tell old man Vandercook. Naturally, he lost it. He came limping through the doorway at full tilt, so to speak. "I heard you're thinking about quitting." "Uh-huh." "Well, why don't you just go ahead and leave right now, then?" "The hell with you." "Okay." He sternly turned away, madder than ever, his huge, horrible limp now accentuated so much that he, by his trying to stomp away that I thought he was going to fall over. No big deal to me. I started calmly gathering my shit. A few minutes later, his wife, who was actually a kindly, white-haired grandma type, approached me. She explained that the old man was upset, and could I please stay until they hire someone else? At first, I said no, but then she apologized repeatedly on behalf of the old man. I reluctantly agreed. A few days later, the employment agency sent out the next sucker. They took him through the building, introduced him, and agreed his first day would be tomorrow. I would work with him one more day in order to train him. On the next day, I took the new kid through the building. I'm sure I probably mentioned to him that I was glad to get out of there because I thought it was the worst job I had ever had. Then it was time to leave. I went through the building to shake everyone's hand and say farewell. Old man Vandercook was the last to approach me. "Bye," I said. "Sorry about the arc welder." Then I just couldn't help it. I began laughing. This made me laugh even more. Soon I was laughing uncontrollably, practically crying. I got out of there. The next morning the phone rang. It was Mrs. Vandercook at OHE. Seems the new guy didn't show up today and would never be heard from again. Could I come back until they got someone else? Jesus, I dragged my ass back over there again. I was called upon to train the next guy. However, he failed to show up even for his first day. They dragged me back again. The next guy worked out for about 3 days, if I recall. Back I went. Finally, the guy after that must have decided to actually go ahead and work there because they stopped calling me. Either that or they got tired of the humiliation of having to call me yet again. The guy who destroyed their arc welder. Nice. Cool story. Hopefully it wasn't fucking too much of an atrocious of a read for you. Thanks for tuning in for this week, April 9th. I think it's turned 30 for me. Keep rocking out. Follow your dreams. Follow your heart. Be smart. Yeah. Over and out. Keep rocking it. Metal Mercers Road. Over and out. See you next week. Bye.